Exactly. I want you to give me your view of it. Just tell me how it happened, and when I know the facts, I'll get you to say what you consider was cause of it, and how you think the whole affair will end. All right, governor. This here's about the old story. That here wolf was what we call a berserker. Was one of the 3 grey ones that come from Norway to Jamratches, which we bought off him for 4 year ago. He was a nice well-behaved wolf, that never gave no trouble to talk of. I'm more surprised at him for wanting to get out nor any other animal in this place. But there, you can't trust wolves no more nor a woman. You don't mind him, sir, broke in Mrs. Tom, with a cheery laugh. He's got minding the animals so long that blessed if he ain't like an old wolf hisself, but there ain't no harm in him. Well, sir, it was about 2 hours after feeding yesterday when I first heard any disturbance. I was making up a litter of the monkey house for a young puma, which is ill, but when I heard the yelping and howling, I came straight away. There was a berserker tearing like a mad thing at the bars as if he wanted to get out. There wasn't much people about that day, and close at hand was only one man, a tall thin chap with a hook nose and a pointed beard, and a few white hairs running through it. He had a hard, cold look, and red eyes, and I took sore mislike to him, for it seemed as if he was irritated at. He had white kid gloves on his hands, and he pointed out the animals to me and says, "Keeper, these wolves seem upset at something." "Maybe it's you," I says, for I did not like the airs as he give hisself. He didn't get angry as I hoped he would, but he smiled a kind of insolent smile with a mouthful of white sharp teeth. "Oh no, they wouldn't like me," he says. "Oh yes, they would," I says. I am imitating of 'em. They always like a bone or two to clean their teeth about tea time, which you is a bagful. Well, it was an old thing, but when the animals see us a-talking, they lay down, and when I went over to the berserker, he let me stroke his ears same as ever. That there man came over, and blessed but if he didn't put his hand in and stroke the old wolf's ears too. "Take care," I says, "berserker's quick." "Never mind," he says, "I'm used to 'em." "Are you in the business yourself?" I says, taking off my hat, for a man what trades in wolves, a certainer, is a good friend to keepers. "No," he says, "not exactly in the business, but I've had 'em pets of several," and with that he lifts his hat polite as a lord and walks away. Old berserker kept a-looking arter till he was out of sight, and then we went and lay down in a corner, and wouldn't come out the whole evening. Well, last night, so soon as the moon was up, the wolves here all began a-howling. That weren't nothing for them to howl at. There weren't no one near, except someone's eventually calling a dog somewheres out back of the gardens in the park road. Once or twice I went out to see all was right, and it was. Then the howling stopped, just before 12 o'clock. I looked around a bit after turning in, and bust me, but when I came up to the old berserker's cage, I see the rails broken and twisted about the cage empty. And that's all I know for certain.
Did anyone else see anything?
One of our gardeners was a-comin' home about the time of an harmony, and when he sees a big grey dog comin' out the garden hedges. At least so he says, but I don't give much for it myself, for if he did, he never said a word about to his missus when he got home, and it was only after the escape of the wolf was made known, we had been up all night a-hunting of the park for berserker, that he remembered seeing anything. My own belief was that the harmony had got to his head. "Well, sir," he said with a suspicious sort of modesty, "I think I can, but I don't know as how you be satisfied with the theory."
"Certainly I shall if a man like you, who knows the animals from experience, can't hazard a good guess at any rate. Who is even to try?"
"Well then, sir, I accounts for it this way. It seems to me that your wolf escaped simply because he wanted to get out."
From the hearty way that both Thomas and his wife laughed at the joke, I could see that it had done service before, and that the whole explanation was simply an elaborate sell. I couldn't cope in badinage with the worthy Thomas, but I thought I knew a surer way to his heart, so I said, "Now, Mr. Builder, we'll consider the first half-sovereign worked off, and this bother of his is waiting to be claimed when you've told me what you think will happen."
"Right you are, sir," he said briskly. "You excuse me, I know, for chaffing of you, but the old woman here winked at me, which is as much as telling me to go on." "Well, I never," said the old lady. "My opinion's this, that this here wolf is a-hiding her somewheres, The gardener what didn't remember said he got us a-galloping northward faster than a horse could go. But I don't believe him, for, you see, wolves don't gallop no more than dogs does. They're not being built that way. Wolves is fine things in a story-book. I dare say when they gets in packs and does be shivin' something, that's more feared than they can make a devil of a noise and chop it up, whatever it is. But Lord bless you, in real life a wolf is only a low creature, not half so clever as a good dog, and not half a quarter so much in fighting 'em. This one ain't been used to fighting, or even to providing for himself. More like he's somewhere round the park a-hiding and a-shiverin' of, and if he thinks all, wondering where he got to get his breakfast from, or maybe he's got down some area in a coal cellar. My, I won't get some cook like a rumstart when she sees his green eyes a-shining at her out of the dark. If he can't get food, he's bound to look for it, and mayhap he might chance light on a butcher's shop in time. If he doesn't, some nursemaid goes a-walking off with some soldier, leaving him frontin' the perambulator. Well, then, I don't be surprised if the census is one baby less. That's all. I was handing him off the half-sovereign when something came bobbing up against the window, and Mr. Bilder's face doubled as a natural length in surprise. "God bless me," he said, "if there ain't old Berserk come back by hisself!" He went to the door and opened it, a most unnecessary proceeding it seemed to me. I have always thought that a wild animal never looked so well as when some obstacle of pronounced endurability is between us. My personal experience has intensified rather than diminished that idea. After all, however, there is nothing like a custom, for neither Bilder nor his wife thought anything more of the wolf than I should of a dog. The animal itself was as peaceful and well behaved as that father of all picture wolves, Red Riding Hood's quondam friend, was seeking her confidence in a masquerade. The whole scene was an unutterable mixture of comedy and pathos. The wicked wolf, that for half a day had paralysed London and set all the children in the town shivering in their shoes, was there in a sort of penitent mood, and was received and petted like a sort of vulpine prodigal son. Old Bilder examined him all over with most tender solicitude, and when he had finished with his penitence, said, "There, I knew the poor old chap would get in some kind of trouble. Didn't I say it all along? Here's his head all cut and full of broken glass. He's been a-getting over some bloomin' wall or other. It's a shame that people are allowed to top their walls with broken bottles. This here's what come of it. Come along, Berserker." He took the wolf and locked him up in a cage, with a piece of meat that satisfied, in a quantity at any rate, the elementary conditions of the fatted calf, and went off to report. I came too, and to report the only exclusive information that is given today regarding the strange escapade at the zoo. Dr. Seward's Diary, 17th of September. I was engaged after dinner in my study posting up my books, which through press of other work and the many visits to Lucy had fallen sadly into arrear. Suddenly the door was burst open, and in rushed my patient, with his face distorted with passion. I was thunderstruck, for such a thing as a patient getting his own accord into the superintendent's study is almost unknown. Without an instant's pause he made straight at me. He had a dinner knife in his hand, and, as I saw he was dangerous, I tried to keep the table between us. He was too quick and too strong for me, however, for before I could get into my balance he had struck at me and cut my left wrist rather severely. Before he could strike again, however, I got in my right, and he was sprawling on his back on the floor. My wrist bled freely, and quite a little pool trickled onto the carpet. I saw that my friend was not intent on further effort, and occupied myself binding up my wrist, keeping a wary eye on the prostrate figure all the time. When the attendants rushed in, and we turned our attention to him, his employment positively sickened me. He was lying on his belly on the floor, licking it up like a dog. The blood which had fallen from my wounded wrist, he was easily secured, and to my surprise went with the attendants quite placidly, simply repeating over and over again, "The blood is the life, the blood is the life." I cannot afford to lose blood just at present. I have lost too much of late for my physical good, and then prolonged strain of Lucy's illness as a horrible phase is telling on me. I am overexcited and weary. I need rest. Rest. Happily, Van Helsing has not summoned me, so I need not forgo my sleep tonight. I could not do well without it. Telegram, Van Helsing, Antwerp to Seward, Carfax. Sent to Carfax, Sussex, as no county given. Delivered late by 22 hours. 17th of September. Do not fail to be at Hillingham tonight. If not watching all the time, frequently visit to see that flowers are as placed. Very important, do not fail. Shall be with you as soon as possible after arrival.